Hey guys, so it is Wednesday. It's about 10:20. Clearly, I've had some significant technical difficulties that prevented me from getting online. We are working it out. Joe is going to call the company and try to figure out what's going on based on our issues, and we will work it out. And my commitment is that not only will we be meeting tomorrow at 12 o'clock, but we will probably meet every single day, including today. Later today, I'll offer a 30-minute call once we get the bugs worked out. In the interim, I wanted to send this video. So I continue to meet, Joe and I meeting every day. We're having our masterminding conversation, our brainstorming conversation, as well as over the last 4 days, I've been on coaching calls with my coach. I've been on leadership calls with other leaders throughout the company. And I think the sentiment is fairly similar throughout the whole chain here. As I was speaking with Joe this morning, we've been through these crises before. We've been through crises before, and we've come out on the other side. Gary Keller said it best when he said, not only is the virus contagious, but the fear is also contagious. And you can get wrapped up and pulled down into this whirlwind of fear. And so much so that it renders you useless and powerless, and you become frozen. So we have to watch out for that. So let's just put that aside. We know for the fact that we've been through these things before. 2009, 2010, we had H1N1, the swine flu. Over, I think it's 20 million Americans caught the flu, that virus. It killed nearly 17,000 people. There wasn't as much panic as there is today. You're going to hear little feet. You're going to hear banging on the door. That's my daughter wanting to get in and see daddy. So we've been through it before. We've been through a mortgage meltdown, an absolute real estate meltdown. That's the banging on the door. We've been through the real estate meltdown, which it just crippled our economy. And guess what happened? We came out on the other side of that, and there's a lot of people who melted down. There's a lot of people who bailed out, and their lives changed forever for the negative. There's a lot of people who came out of that on top. There's a lot of people that I've spoken with, people that I've watched on this, that I wasn't intimately involved with, that I watched, who totally capitalized on that whole process. And at the other end of that, they were well positioned to dominate whatever market or whatever. And a lot of time it was the housing market. There's a lot of people who became incredibly wealthy at the end of that, because they were level-headed, they were focused, they were cashed up, and they were ready to pounce. So here's what I know. I know, and I believe you know this too. We will come out of this, right? We're going to come out of this. We'll get on the other side of this. And there's two things that we can have happen to us at that point in time. Number one, if we are paralyzed now and full of fear and negative and say, hey, what's going to happen? And we're just completely, freaked out. When we get on the other end of this, we're going to be in a position where we're looking around us and people are making moves, and agents in our industry are now bouncing right back and getting into it. And we're going to say, okay, I got to scramble and get into it. And you'll start getting into it. Or the other end of this is that we can prepare ourselves now. Look, we know we're down for the count. With the exception of digital tours, digital open houses, I reached out to my clients right now and said, look, there's two ways we can handle this. First off, the properties that are on the market currently that aren't under contract need to have a 5 to 10% price reduction in order to get it sold right away. We know buyers are out there. And the sellers are really more fearful than the buyers. The sellers don't want people in their homes. So if your property's on the market, rather than take it off, we're going to get it sold. So they're saying reduce the property 5 to 10%. Nobody's ever gone to Bloomingdale's or wherever you shop for a 1 or 2% discount. No, it's 5, 10, 15, 20% discount. So that's a very drastic move for your active listings. For your pending list or your written listings, people who haven't yet come on the market, and they may be fearful that, well, look, I mean, is anyone buying? Yes. Last weekend, we had 41 people at one of our open houses. We had 4 offers. People are still looking. People will buy and sell. The one thing you can do is you can go to that market and pull all the actives in the last 4 or 5 days, pull all the under contracts in the last 4 or 5 days, and pull all the closed in the last 4 or 5 days. You can send that data and say, look, over the last week, here are the people who went on the market, here are the people who went under contract, here are the people who sold, who closed. People are still going to be buying and selling real estate. We know this because we knew it during the financial meltdown of 2007-8. We knew it during the H1N1. People are still going to do transactions. So we have to just be the calming voice. How do we do that? Mr. and Mrs. Seller, there's a couple choices we have to make right now. Number one, we can pull off the property at which point we'll be sitting on the sidelines while everything's going on. Number two, we can keep the property on and do digital viewings, digital showings. We don't need to meet with people in order to get contracts signed because we've been doing that for 5 or 6 years now. Once somebody wants your property, we can take measures to have one family come in and look at your property. If they want to buy it, they'll put a contract together. You can buy rubbing alcohol. You could spray down. We can be very cautious about that. Most people who have planned to sell and signed a listing agreement still want to sell. Realize that. They're going to want to sell. It's our job to keep them calm and realize that, look, we can still get through this. The buyers, I don't think we have a problem with buyers at this point. I think every indication has showed us that buyers are like, they're just like, boom, they're moving forward on this. We have to first and foremost protect ourselves, protect our clients. And so the other end of this, and I'll wrap up with this over the next 3 minutes, is that during this time, there's certainly going to be less outings. They're suggesting for the next 2 weeks, you stay in only for emergency medical or food do you go out. I spoke to a friend of mine in China. He and I were roommates when we were in our very early 20s in our college days. And he's been living there for 30 years. And, he gave me a whole bunch of things that we can do. The bottom line is this thing's fairly contagious. And because we're not testing right now, people can have it. People can have this and they'll totally recover from it, but they can pass it to us. So you got to be real careful. You got to get a bottle of rubbing alcohol, put it in a spray bottle, and spray everything down with rubbing alcohol. Leave your clothes in the garage. Come into the house. Take the pants off. This stuff stays low. Okay. All right. What do we do as realtors to position ourselves to put us in a position where, in May or June, that we are recovering from this? Look, we're going to have a financial crunch if you're not already financially stable. So you're going to call your debtors, your debitors. You're going to call your people who you owe money to, whether it's your PSE&G, your landlord, your mortgage, your car payment, and you're going to say, "Look, I'm a realtor, and we just had a massive meltdown. I'm going to need 6 months of an arrangement of payments for my current arrangement." If you need that, then ask for it. You'll be surprised. You'll get it. Number two, how do we position ourselves? I know I've asked that 3 times. How do we position ourselves such that when we're on the other end of this thing, that we are well poised to really take advantage of it? So because we're going to be stuck in our homes, the normal 2 to 3 hour lead generation time should be 4 hours. That's right. 4 hours of lead gen. Who are we calling? We're calling everyone in our center of influence. Hey, just wanted to check in. Are you okay? Is your family okay? Is there anything that I can do? They're going to say, no, we're fine. And you know what? I appreciate that. Evan and I were on a call yesterday, and I told the old lady who we had an appointment today, we canceled it. I'll share with you what we said. But I said, is there anything you need? She's probably 83 years old. I said, don't go out. I'll go out for you. And I mean that. Look, I'm being very careful when I go to stores. I'm staying away from people. And if I need to get this lady a couple things, not a big deal. 4 hours of lead gen. I'm calling people in my center of influence. I'm calling my database. Same thing. I'm calling past clients. I'm circle prospecting. The bottom line is, the script is, when it comes up to when you said, yeah, people who you call today, Steve has a person who wants to sell. People who he spoke to a week ago said, yeah, you know what, we're thinking of selling. This is why, blah, 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 blah. They don't want anyone in their home. Great. So there's two ways we could do it. We can get a photographer in. I can get in there with the photographer. The photographer takes the pictures. We market this property. We do everything remotely, digitally. Don't use the word virtual because our competitors use virtual. Remotely, digital. If he says, no, we don't want anything, deal with it. Okay, let's go ahead and postpone our appointment, which I said to the lady, look, I'm not setting up any appointments until the end of April, early May. We set an appointment for April 28th. So over the next 4 to 5 weeks, the idea is that we're going to be on the phones 4 hours a day. And during those 4 hours, you're going to double down. You're doubling down on your efforts so that in 4, 5, 6, 8 weeks down the road, your pipeline for appointments is you'll have 3 or 4 appointments every single day. You won't even have time to lead gen. And that's really going to be your cure. Look, at the end of the day, in 3 weeks, we may find that we're still not at the other end of this. I believe that in the next 3 weeks, we're going to have this thing under control. And I'm being optimistic. And I think that in 4 or 5 weeks, a couple weeks into having it under control, the world will start to get back to normal. So somewhere in the neighborhood of 6 weeks, we're going to start to get back to normal. And when that happens, would you rather be starting the journey of rebuilding, or would you rather be reaching out today to the people who know you, like you, and care about you, and want to help you, to the people in the neighborhood, and find out, hey, have you been thinking of moving in the last 12 months? Well, we have, but now with this coronavirus, we don't know what to do. I get it, and you know what? I agree with you. It's very uncertain times. Let me ask you a question. If you were going to sell, if you had sold last month before this whole thing started, where would you go? Well, we're going to go here. Okay, and go 3 layers deep. Ask 3 questions about it. Well, what's important about going there? Why were you going there? Who lives there? How soon did you want to be there? We wanted to be there in the next 6 months, but now we're just putting everything on hold. I get it. Look, we're not meeting with anyone until the beginning of May. May I make a suggestion? What's that? Why don't we go ahead and pencil something in for May 8th or May 12th? And let's see, when we get closer, we can confirm. In the meantime, I will email you some information. You're not going to catch a virus through an email. I will go ahead and send you that information, and we'll start to gain knowledge about what your move's going to look like. This way, when we draw closer to the time we're actually going to meet, you'll have a good working knowledge of what's going on and what we're going to do to get your home sold. And of course, we can confirm before. If we have to cancel it and push it back a month, we'll do that. Does that make sense? A lot of people are going to be like, fine, let's go ahead and do that. So 4 hours a day. Make your appointments starting for May, and just, pick 3 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, whatever it is, and set up 3 appointments for every day. And go in your calendar. I don't have my calendar in front of me. It's downstairs. But go in the calendar and map out your May, June, and July now. Put down, we're going to talk about this tomorrow in our Q2 business planning mastermind. But you're gonna set down your calendar now for those months so that you can easily say, look, here's what I have available. And as you fill in those names, you'll have less appointments available. Hey, you know what? I'm already booked up for May. I only have 1 appointment on May 16th, and it's at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, but I'm starting to book for June. It'll be an organized, purposeful effort to build your pipeline so that when that time comes, as long as we're past this thing or on the other end of it, when we start to get out of our house, out of our shell, that we're not just kind of walking around, getting used to the outdoors again, that we're actually getting out there for a reason because we have 30 appointments set up for each month. Go for it. Talk to you later.